On October 7 and November 18, 2019, two FOIA requests were respectively sent to LSE, requesting LSE's records relating to Ing-Wen Tsai's personal copy of the original PhD thesis and PhD degree. These two requests disclosed LSE's internal and external email communications from June 2019 to October 2019. The report on the 2019 investigation is prepared based on these email communications. The prototype of the press statement released by LSE on its official website on October 8, 2019, is the standard text Clive Wilson provided to the research support team at the LSE library in 2016. It was used to reply to any emails inquiring about Ing-Wen Tsai's non-existing doctoral thesis. The table compares the relevant parts of the standard text in 2016 and the LSE press statement in 2019. One difference is that the LSE press statement released in 2019 confirmed Tsai's PhD in law in 1984, but the standard text in 2016 didn't. On June 4, 2019, the standard text was modified as LSE's first reply to the first FOIA request submitted to LSE by Wan Lin on May 29, 2019. Lin sent the request to the LSE library, checking on how to get access to Tsai's doctoral thesis. It marks the inception of the investigation of Tsai's long-overdue doctoral thesis in 2019. The team responsible for the 2019 investigation at the administrative level consists of Marcus Cerny, Deputy Director of the LSE PhD Academy; Mark Thompson, LSE Academic Registrar; Kevin Haynes, Head of the LSE Legal Team; Sue Donnelly, LSE Archivist; Clive Wilson, Enquiry Services Manager at the LSE Library; and Daniel O'Connor, Head of Media Relations of the LSE Communications Division. Fiona Metcalf, Director of the LSE Communications Division, and Nancy Graham, Research Support Manager then and now Acting Co-Director of the LSE Library, were also involved. Fang Long Shi is Tsai's personal representative at LSE, who also played a role in the 2019 investigation. On June 11, 2019, Shi, once the co-director of the Taiwan Research Program at LSE, introduced Wilson to Tsai's office. The responsibility of the 2019 investigation was shared between Cerny and Thompson. The Communications Division and Clive Wilson responded to the queries on Tsai's non-existing doctoral thesis and 1984 PhD. On June 6, 2019, at 16:04, the LSE Library received another email from Lin, questioning the existence of Tsai's doctoral thesis. At 16:29, Wan Lin's email questioning the existence of Tsai's doctoral thesis was sent to the PhD Academy. Marcus Cerny's involvement with the 2019 investigation began on June 7, 2019, after he received the email chain between Lin and the LSE Library sent by one of his colleagues at the LSE PhD Academy. At 3:37 p.m., Cerny emailed Fiona Metcalf. About Tsai's non-existing doctoral thesis, Cerny's position at the time was, "I am unable to answer as to why the thesis is unavailable, and if the thesis is not held in either Senate House or LSE libraries, I cannot see any chance of there being any other version of it elsewhere." He asked if Metcalf or a member of Metcalf's team could advise on the issue. Even though Cerny knew that no version of Tsai's thesis could be found, he decided to handle Tsai's non-existing doctoral thesis not as an academic issue but as a media relation one. Rita Astuti is a professor of social anthropology at LSE and was most likely a member of the LSE Research Committee in 2019. Max Stefan Schultz is a professor of economic history at LSE and was most likely also a member of the Research Committee in 2019. About 4 minutes later, Cerny emailed Astuti and Schultz at 3:41 p.m. and forwarded them the email exchange between Lin and the LSE Library. He asked if Lin's inquiries should be flagged up to pro-directors. Cerny also informed them that Metcalf would handle the case if there were a reputational concern. June 7, 2019, was Friday. On June 10, 2019, Monday, at 6:16, a Stuti emailed Cerny, agreeing that the issue should be flagged higher up. But before doing so, they needed to know if LSE had a record of the PhD at all, an abstract, the names of SAI's supervisor and examiners, and a copy of the PhD award. Simon Hicks is an internationally renowned scholar, LSE Pro-Director for Research Committee, and Vice President, Pro-Vice-Chancellor between 2018 and 2021. He was notified at 13:50. His question was whether or not the PhD supervisor had a copy of SAI's doctoral thesis somewhere. At 1927, a Stuti instructed Cerny to find out from the law department. June 11, 2019, was a busy day at LSE. At 10:23, Cerny contacted the law department. He had already discovered that SAI's PhD was awarded in March 1984 and listed as one of the 1984 PhD graduates. He asked the department to confirm who SAI's supervisor was, and he would raise the issue with UOL but wanted to check what LSE knew first. After checking with the law department, at 10:54, Cerny forwarded more inquiries from Wan Lin to Stuti and Schultz. He also emailed Metcalf. The email shows that Cerny knew UOL was the degree-awarding body responsible for depositing the thesis and the paperwork. He would defer to UOL's jurisdiction, but in response to the outright querying whether the thesis existed, his position was LSE needed to respond as the reputational issues would be borne by LSE, not UOL. Again, he would like to deal with it as an issue of media relations and needed advice from the communications division. Metcalf responded immediately and assigned Daniel O'Connor to help formulate a response. At 11:41, the Department of Law reported that they had no paperwork but provided an email chain resulting from the investigation in 2015. One email in the email chain was authored by Simeon Underwood, former LSE academic registrar, on July 2, 2015. Underwood confirmed the validity of SAI's 1984 PhD after reviewing SAI's student file retrieved from the archives. About SAI's non-existing thesis, Underwood stated that the main mystery is why the copies of the thesis cannot be found. It is clear that people at your end and the LSE end have looked in all the obvious places and in some which aren't obvious, but cannot find them. My understanding is that the position seems to be that 2 copies were left with LSE from the supervisor and the internal examiner, but that these were never passed on to Senate House Library, and that 1 copy went from Senate House Library to IALS but can no longer be found. Based on the email chain, Cerny discovered that the Pro-Vice-Chancellor's office at UOL dealt with the query in 2015. At 12:54, Cerny emailed LC, who most likely responded to the query on behalf of the Pro-Vice-Chancellor's office at UOL in 2015. LC responded at 13:02. She was unable to help because UOL did not have a copy of SAI's thesis in the Senate House Library but confirmed that UOL would have a copy of the thesis at the examination stage. It is worth noting that LC used a modal verb when she confirmed the existence of SAI's thesis at the examination stage. LC then forwarded the email she sent on June 29, 2015, at 15:13. It reveals that LC was the email's author and played a critical role in the 2015 investigation. At 12:57, Cerny emailed Hicks, Stuti, and Schultz, informing them that UOL dealt with SAI's non-existing doctoral thesis last time, so he would refer back to them. Unless the research committee wanted them to do anything more, he would liaise with the communication division about responding to the queries. On the LSE library side, at 12:35, Clive Wilson sent a standard response designed to be sent to any query about SAI's non-existing doctoral thesis to his colleagues at the LSE library. At 13:58, Nancy Graham sent the standard response drafted by Wilson to Cerny and O'Connor. It was modified from the standard text in 2016, which did not confirm SAI's 1984 PhD degree. At 13:59, O'Connor suggested confirming Tsai's PhD. "We may need to be clear that all our official records indicate she did pass her PhD, but this won't help with the array of conspiracy theories which will arise." At the time, the team did not have all the official records. They only had 2 LSE records that indicated Tsai passed her PhD. One was Underwood's email which confirmed the validity of Tsai's 1984 PhD based on Tsai's student file. The other was the list of 1984 PhD graduates found in the 1985-86 LSE calendar. The team didn't have Tsai's student file. They didn't even know who Tsai's supervisor was. O'Connor's task was to help formulate a response. 16 minutes later, at 14:15, he proposed to use the text from Clive and add a line about official LSE and UOL records confirm Tsai was awarded a PhD in law in 1984. The list of 1984 PhD graduates in the 1985-86 LSE calendar would be used as some proof of Tsai's 1984 PhD degree. At 4:49 p.m., the first draft of the press statement was done, stating that LSE and University of London records confirm Tsai Ing-wen was awarded a PhD in law in 1984. The list of 1984 PhD graduates in the 1985-1986 LSE calendar was attached as an official record of awards. About the line, LSE and University of London records confirm Tsai Ing-wen was awarded a PhD in law in 1984. Metcalf suggested deleting LSE from it, pushing inquiries to UOL. O'Connor disagreed because the 1985-1986 calendar was an LSE record, not a UOL record. He suggested switching it around to UOL and LSE. Cerny agreed with O'Connor. "My opinion is we should leave it in. We should look like we're pretending to have had nothing to do with this, and she is an LSE alumnus. We trumpeted as much ourselves when she got elected." As a seasoned higher education administrator, Cerny knew the procedure and the requirements for a PhD student to submit final hardbound copies of the thesis in order to be awarded a PhD degree in the 1980s. About Tsai's non-existing doctoral thesis, he couldn't see any chance of there being any other version of the thesis if it was not held in either the Senate House or LSE libraries. He did not buy the story about chasing the examination copies. He also knew that UOL was the degree awarding body. He had expressed that he would defer to UOL's jurisdiction over the PhD award and deposit of the final hardbound copies in the libraries. Nonetheless, it only took 3 working days for the team to decide to draft and release a media statement by email to confirm Tsai's 1984 PhD after Wan Lin questioned the existence of Tsai's doctoral thesis on June 6, 2019. Earlier that day, at 14:03, Cerny confirmed to Nancy Graham that the examination went through the University of London procedures, and we had the award confirmed from them with a March 1984 award date. It was recorded in the 1985-86 calendar and is recorded in both on LSE and UOL records. However, no records show that when the team decided to release a media statement to confirm Tsai's 1984 PhD through emails, the team obtained any records other than LSE's email dated June 29, 2015, Underwood's email dated July 2, 2015, and the list of 1984 PhD graduates in the 1985-1986 LSE calendar. It is worth noting that LSE's email did not confirm Tsai's 1984 PhD degree. About the list of 1984 PhD graduates, even O'Connor admitted that it's not exactly a smoking gun, but it might be useful if we start getting more hassle for proof. The next day, on June 12, 2019, at 9:08, Tsai's office sent its first email to LSE, offering to provide 1 paper copy and 1 electronic copy of Tsai's doctoral thesis to the LSE library for collection. It indicates that LSE decided to release a media statement to confirm Tsai's 1984 PhD degree by email even before LSE had a chance to review Tsai's doctoral thesis, which had been long overdue for 35 years. At 10:48, Wilson emailed Metcalf and O'Connor, informing them that Fang Long-Shi suggested that the drafted statement was probably good to go. He also asked whether it was okay to copy Shi in and run it by her. At 13:17, Cerny informed Mark Thompson that his main aim was to avoid people doing anything outside the discussed and agreed communications. A standard response would serve the purpose. At 14:05, the media statement was adapted as a standard response to any inquiries about Tsai's non-existing doctoral thesis or 1984 PhD degree. At 13:53, O'Connor sent the first media statement to the Taiwan People News. Tsai's 1984 PhD degree was confirmed for the first time, not by UOL, the degree awarding body, but by LSE. Around that time, Max Schultz, Rita Astuti, and Simon Hicks still had questions. At 13:17, Schultz's question was, "Is it possible that this thesis has been put under some indefinite embargo? Even if so, there must be some record somewhere. I take it, though, that the 1984 list of graduates, PhDs just minted includes Tsai's name or?" At 13:48, Astuti asked Cerny to find out who Tsai's supervisors were. Around 14:49, Simon Hicks sent in his questions. "Are we able to confirm that she was awarded the PhD according to all the correct procedures, but we just can't locate a physical copy of the thesis? Is that right?" On June 13, 2019, at 10:37, UOL was informed by CK that LSE had issued a media statement to confirm that their records showed Tsai studied at LSE and was awarded a PhD in 1984.